Join Lizzie Rose, Tahil Gesyuk, and Gabriel llhewellyn-ari as they come together to enlighten all sexual identities and shift the partnership paradigm. Welcome to Revolutionary Romance.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Revolutionary Romance, where we really aim to be the guiding light in dark places of confusion, misunderstanding, and heartbreak in your relationships, helping you to shift your entire worldview on your relationships by honoring yourself first. I am, of course, here with my beloved co-host, Tahil Gesyuk, the embodied relationship coach. And I am just so grateful that we get to spend these next couple hours together with you, talking about your relationships and how you can empower yourself to be even more in them. And I just want to say real quick that if you would like a session with Tahil, you can actually get a free session with him. And you do that by going to intimacyforumtraining.com, and you can set it all up there. Tahil, hello.
Hello.
And so if you've listened to our show before, you probably know that we start with an opening circle. And basically what that is we really believe in the power of intention. And one thing that Tahil has created, and he does this in most of the things that he facilitates, is, and it's very simple. It's just basically identifying two things that you'd like to let go of, and then calling in two things that you'd like to embody. And so we're going to each do that, and then we're going to give you a chance to do it. So maybe you can get inspired by some of our answers. So Tahil, what are two things that you'd like to let go of today?
I'd like to let go of the hustle and bustle of my life. I would like to let go of the whirlwind of my mind. And I'd like to bring in tenderness and grace.
Beautiful. And for me, I would like to let go of being somewhere else. I also want to let go of the need to be a certain way. And I want to call in presence and excitedness. And so now, what are two things that you would like to let go of? Two things that aren't serving you, that you'd like to let go right now, right in this moment, in this time, in this space. And in their place, what are two things you'd like to call in? Two aspects of yourself that you'd like to embody. Wonderful, wonderful. So, Tahil, I'm really excited about our show today. Would you like to introduce the topic of our show?
Sure. We're going to be talking about the tender stages of transition. I don't know if you're like me, but I've been looking around and I've been noticing a lot of my friends going through breakups in these cocoon-like stages. And I wanted to offer some things that I came up with over the years with people going through this unique and interesting and strange and transitory state between relationships, between jobs, between anything. There's these stages that people go through, and I like to kind of talk about it, talk about some of the elephants in the room, about what occurs there, because I think very few people actually talk about what happens in these in-between moments in time when we want to kind of ostracize ourselves from the world, that we want to be more introspective, that we want to get to understand ourselves a little bit better before we start engaging with others, things like that.
And to be completely transparent, which if this is your first time listening to the show, we're pretty candid. We're pretty honest and open with our sexuality, our feelings, all of it. And so to be completely transparent, that's definitely been the space that I've been in. I've been in this space lately of just kind of pulling back, getting all holed up in my cave, and healing. And to some extent, possibly even being afraid to move to the next step for myself. You know, getting stuck in that pattern, possibly. I could see myself doing that a little bit and distracting myself and not engaging as much with other people. And it's been interesting because I do want to like engage with people, and I do want to do these other activities that I'm interested in, and at the same time I feel like I'm stuck because I'm at this introspective place, and I'm at this place of reflection within myself that I feel like that's what I need to do. I need to just hole up, feel my feelings, get creative, be by myself for a little bit, and then I'll know when to come out into the world. But I also feel very conflicted. So yeah, I think that's what the main part of that is that I feel very conflicted because I do want to engage. And so yeah, I'm feeling conflicted around that. So I wonder what you'd like to say about that.
Well, the first thing I'd like to talk about in these tender moments of transition is the function of discernment. Discernment is an interesting word for a lot of people when it comes to transition, because one of the things that gets us into a transitory space is this discernment that something is not right, something is not going well. You know, we have this kind of inkling about like what's not right, something is off, but we can't quite put our finger on it. And so we start to go spiraling inward into this discerning journey with ourselves about spelunking inside our psyche, inside our heart, and trying to discover what is it that doesn't feel right. You know, is it the dynamic of the relationships in my life right now? Is it my relationship to what I'm going through, or is it the relationship to myself? And typically it's a combination of many things, but the key component in that area is the ability to function in discernment. Many of us didn't get healthy modeling of what discernment is. There's this distortion that a lot of us go through. We have many mechanisms within us that create delusions. We have delusions of chemical cocktails within our own chemistry, within our own biology. The very things that enamored us, initiated us into depthful connection with our partners, all of a sudden become the very thing that annoy the hell out of us every single day. What is that? When your partner in the beginning was very cute when he left the socks on the couch. How interesting of him. How cute of him, right? And then 2 years later, how dare he leave those socks on the couch? There's something about this thing where in that moment of transition, a bubble bursts. A hypnotic state that you put yourself into with other people bursts, and a sobering thing starts to occur. It's in that sobriety that I want to talk about those tender stages of transition.
Ooh. You know, I like that you said the word sober. It's like when we're going through that in our relationships, it is very much like we're really waking up to see whatever is really there, and then oftentimes it calls out our own shit, which then really bothers us. And then we might blame the relationship, which maybe that's a part of. But I love the fact that you talked about it being a very sobering experience. This transitions within not only relationships, but really just within ourselves.
Yeah, it's very much like having a hangover. These transitory states between partners, between relationships, between careers, between anything. You know, we fall in love, get enamored in our partnership when we come into a relationship. There's many things that we kind of project or make bigger with the chemistry that we have. You add the chemistry of sexuality and intimacy, forget about it. When we're vulnerable, there's so much that goes in us. There's so much that we intertwine with the partnership. On an energetic level, you literally grow energetic umbilical cords in your chakras, and you connect. And the deeper the intertwining and the connection with your partner, the more meshed you are energetically. And all of a sudden, when there's a disconnect or when there's a sobering moment, something wakes up, there's this shift that happens where you start going inward, but you're still attached. And so you physically feel like your body still belongs somewhere else, like a part of it's missing. Just like when people who have a phantom limb, when their limb is cut, they still have a sense of feeling their arm, even though their arm physically isn't there. When we have a breakup in a partnership, it feels like that person is still there when we fall asleep. In fact, it actually feels hard to go to sleep. Our body physically feels like there's something off.
So what are some different possibilities as far as relational transitioning? One would obviously be having a breakup, the death of the relationship. But there's many more, I'm sure.
Well, the first thing is to have a clear assessment about what's going on, and that is reclaiming the sense of discernment. The first step in having a healthy discernment is to know that you can get delusional. We all go through delusion. We all put ourselves through hypnotic states of being where we suspend what we authentically know. And we do this on a consistent basis to the point where this is more of a commonality than most people think. And we get clear about our delusions and our hypnotic states of being that we put ourselves in those moments of turmoil or challenge within a relationship. If you're kind of teeter-tottering, should I stay or should I go? It's important to get that we get a sense of willingness and capacity. Those are the 4 areas between 2 people. It's really important to get clear if both people are still willing to be in the relationship. Many times we kind of go through emotions without ever getting clear. Is that person somebody that I'm really wanting to be with? Or have I invested so much energy and time of raising kids, getting a house, creating what I call the corporate sector of life where you kind of build a business of life together? Have you invested so much energy and momentum in that you can't speak that truth to your partner, that you're not actually willing to be with them anymore? Sometimes people kind of go through that. There needs a sobering moment for that. Oh, wait, I really don't want to be with that partner anymore. But I have all this life and momentum already happening. I don't know if I can actually say that. So those moments of sobriety, of going into your own cocoon and really figuring that out is really important. And then it's also the capacity. 2 people can be willing. Like, you still love each other, you still want to be there, but consistently there's a lack of capacity for actually showing up to support, nurture, and care for the tender hearts that you each have. And that also needs to get cleared up. And a lot of times you don't discover that until later stages of depth in relating. This is one of the reasons why I'm so big on really getting better at dating in the first place. Because by the time you do get there, it's much more challenging to unmesh.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I think just as people, just being a human, it's so easy for us to avoid the pain that we think we might experience having those conversations, especially even initially while dating, having those hard conversations where we might get a little bit of discernment around something. Like, I think I should ask them about this. This might not work out long term if they say this, or if they believe this, or if they don't want kids, or whatever it may be. Also, we're having an oxytocin attack with love, of course, so we're usually just really excited, and we don't want to stop that. And I think it is important, just like you're saying, to stop, sober yourself up a bit, and really ask those hard questions, which I think a lot of people do, but I think also a lot of people don't. Ask those hard questions initially to save yourself from more trouble and more things to deal with later, like when you have children or if you have a house or whatever it may be.
Think of discernment, the function of discernment, as a reality check for yourself. We all need to have regular, steady reality checks. And most people don't set up a reality check as a structure of success in their life if they don't get how deluded they have gotten themselves into. You need to have a kind of space where you realize that, wait, I put myself in harm's way because I literally hypnotized myself or deluded myself into a situation that was harmful to me. And it's no different than addicts having to go through AA and having to literally figure out how to clear out putting ourselves in harm's way in situations that have a temporary fix of feeling good, but over the long run are not in our best interest at heart.
And not only that, not only do we put ourselves in harm's way, but we put the other person, not to say that we're responsible for them, but that if we truly just love them as a person, it's really important to be honest with them and say, hey, I don't know if this is going to work out, but let's take it day by day. Or whatever it may be, whatever it is that you need to share around that so that you're completely self-expressed and they're not in any way set up to be in a position of not having what they need to state what they need, I guess.
Yeah.
So
discernment is a humbling moment. It's an authentic humbling moment. It is where you own and see your limits and then get excited about actually working on what needs to get done to be where you need to be. I'd say 75% of the couples that I see that are in that teeter-totter, should I stay or should I go, end up not staying together.
mm-hmm.
The ones that do have this function of humility. Authentic humility, a humbleness about them of really realizing where they don't have the capacity to support their partner.
Mm-hmm.
And because both are willing, there's a separation stage and there's an authentic work on regaining the capacity so that it matches the willingness to be with the partner. And it's those relationships that thrive and build into a deeper, more loving space. But they're rare. And this is why I talk about it as a tender stage. Nor is it always healthy for you to continue the relationship with the partner. It's just that in those tender moments, it's really important that you honor the sobriety that's coming, that's awakening. The bubble bursts. Transition is those moments where we are aware that we were unaware.
And I would say one of the most startling examples of that would be a breakup. Like if you realize one day, A, that, gosh, this partner is not going to work for me, or B, your partner comes to you and says, this isn't going to work for me, one way or another, you're awakening to the fact that somehow, some way, the relationship is not sustainable, or at least not right now. So once you have that discernment, once you have the discernment of, I don't think this relationship is going to work, or whatever the transition may be, what is the next step after knowing that this probably isn't going to work and we need to do something about it? What is the next step after that?
So after you start to realize discern that something is not working, your willingness or your capacity, which is the art of discernment, knowing if you have the capacity or if you are willing, that's the art of discernment, just figuring that out. But once you figure that out, there's a humbleness that sets in, a humility that sets in. And this naturally brings a cocoon-like spiral inward towards yourself, going inside, finding your own truth. Because when we feel deluded, when we feel shortchanged by our own decisiveness, our own action, there's this kind of like wanting to pull in and say, have a good talk with yourself. There's this like, wow, how did I get here? I did this. Nobody put my hand on that person. Nobody told me to do this. I did this. And oh my God, I did it and I was in harm's way because of that. It's time to get a good look at who I am. It's time to get a good look about my decision-making, my actions in life. I mean, it's very sobering, very tumultuous kind of whirling within your own psyche. You kind of become a mess. And, this is not a culture that honors mess. This is not a culture that honors going inward. This is not a culture that honors confusion and being uncertain about things. And if there's anything that I would urge the audience to hear from this interaction today, is to give yourself space to cocoon. Don't wait for the mental breakdown. Don't wait for an illness to take place. Don't wait for something dramatic to take place. Actually take out 10 days, 2 weeks. Have a staycation. You don't always have to have a vacation. You can have a staycation. Go inside your room. make sure you have plenty of healthy food and water. Get a journal. Take baths every day. Organize massages for yourself. I remember when I had a particular tender breakup, my body was viscerally feeling like it missed the other body. And I felt vulnerable and alone, and I felt in pain being by myself underneath the covers. Luckily for me, I teach affection and connection world. I have a lot of trained core group of friends that know how to give affection and connection without collapsing into sexuality or anything else. And I would literally invite them to have cuddle dates with me.
Aww.
And I would get the nurture, and I would get the care, and I would get people to just hold me and bring me food and love me up. And then I would ask them to kind of cover me in these blankets where I would be cocooned in my own little space, and I'd ask them to gently leave. And what I do is I would feel all this warm, loving sensation. And as they were gone, I would actually practice to take this feeling like somebody's holding me and see how long I can be with it, getting really sober to the fact that nobody has to actually be there for me to feel held, supported, nurtured, and cared for. And the process that typically takes about 6 months took me about a week and a half, because every day I would have 2 or 3 people come in like clockwork every 2 to 3 hours, hold me, adore me, and then tuck me in and walk out. And over time, I just got really good at it. And now, no matter what happens in my life, I know I have this place where I can feel like I'm being held with nobody there to do it for me.
Because you're holding yourself. Spirit's holding you.
Yes, it's this deep realization that no matter what somebody's doing around me, they're just invoking something that's already in me. And that sobriety, that sense of really getting in touch with yourself is really what you're after in this messy cocoon-like stage. You're looking to find this place of authenticity and realness that is you.
Wow, that was great. I'm going to remember that one, definitely. And I also want to say that I think a lot of people, when they're going through some kind of breakup, tend to distract themselves so much from doing that, even though they subconsciously know that that's what they need. They just need to stop, and they need to take care of themselves. And it could be that they're afraid to feel their feelings, that they're afraid to deal with it, quote unquote. And that just creates a hamster wheel of things that aren't being dealt with and then cause more pain and cause more pain. And I loved what you just said about really just going in there right away, just calling people in to support you in that process and really creating that container and that healing for yourself, so you're not going to be eating ice cream. And it's not to say that eating a bunch of ice cream is bad when you have a breakup, but that's fine. But if you're doing that for months and months and months, something's wrong. And so really just giving yourself the space to be with it.
Yeah, it's after you have the discernment, and the discernment brings a sobriety to you that there's been a disillusionment that popped, right? There is a messy stage. There is a messy moment in time. And in that moment, if you're somebody who likes to be active and do it, and you're a lone wolf and you got to do what you need to do and all this stuff, there's a lot of acting out, whether it be through rebound relationships or just self-destructive behavior. You can skip the middleman of all the drama and go straight to the sensitivity and the tenderness of nurture, or you can just go until you can't go anymore, until you drop, because you're creating a devastating experience so that at the end of it you can drop.
One way or another, you're going to get that.
Right. Like, people do destructive behavior. It's an unconscious permissioning to let go. There's all this like acting out and let's just do something that's harmful to me. Let's eat a whole bunch of ice cream. Let's be cruel and mean to other people. Let's just use people. Let's just have lots of sex. Like, whatever it is, whatever your way of acting out is, at the end of it, there's going to be a breakdown.
But then the breakdown, of course, leads to the breakthrough. To some extent, right?
The breakdown is what allows you to finally let go. And what I'm trying to illuminate in these tender stages of transition is that instead of acting out, that you get an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? The more subtle you get, the more sensitive you are to when the transition stage is happening. The moment you have a diluted state exposed to you, take action to discern. Were you willing? Is there something going on in why you were willing to do something that was not right for you? And why is it that you committed to something that you didn't have the capacity for? This brings you in. This drops you into a stage of vulnerability with yourself. And then you do some soul searching. You go do some spelunking within you. And you give yourself the space to be confused. You give yourself the space to not know. And you kind of incubate in the not knowing. And you journal, you write, you create, you do whatever you need to integrate this cocoon-like state within you. Right? If you open up a cocoon before the butterfly, it's all a big mush. You know, everything is mushy and uncertain, and you can't form coherent thoughts. You can't really be in purpose in that moment. All you can do is just be. And in that uncertainty, there's this cocoon-like thing that's formulating its own wisdom, its own authority, its own autonomy in that. And what comes out of that, if you stay in your innocence in that, if you give yourself permission to go there, is something that will be more authentic and truly transitioned into a new space. Otherwise, if you're one of those people that keeps having the same, like, wow, I'm having the same issues with different people in front of me. Or you're one of those people that likes to act out, so you keep alternating from one extreme to another. So if you have one partner that's very passive and it's like, oh, I like that, and then all of a sudden the next partnership is somebody who's very not, and you flip-flop back and forth. Like, if you just see a pattern happening over and over again, it's because the place of being messed up has not been honored.
And that could even go into someone's childhood, of course. Like relationship with their parents or a friend growing up that they haven't healed, that then they're attracting these relationships. Just like the classic example of the girl who always attracts her father because she hasn't dealt with her daddy issues fully and likes bad boys but really wants a good relationship, but then sabotages that. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of our imprinting in our heads comes from the giants that are around us when we're kids. You know, we imprint those large people that are around us, and typically they're our teachers, our parents, people that we admire the most, you know, perhaps our older sibling or what have you. But this messed up stage is an opportunity to reparent yourself, because in that moment you are that little kid. In that moment, you are that innocent, vulnerable, tender, I don't know what to do, looking out, and there's no giants around anymore. It's an opportunity. That messed up stage is an opportunity for you to reclaim your own parenthood outside of your parents. It is why I talk about that this is an opportunity for your autonomy and your authority and your own truth, because in that moment, you are the parent to yourself. It's like a reboot, a jolt, an opportunity to be unwired from the past, unwired from anything that anybody's ever told you. That's the beauty of this messed up stage, you see. It's like when you're in that space when nothing makes sense, that old conditioning, nothing is there. You're a blank slate. You can recreate. And the love that you give yourself in that moment, that's the next stage. After you get messed up, on the inside, you find a way to nurture and care for you that no one can do other than you.
Yeah, and it's really about honoring myself first. When I become aware that I have an issue with my parents, or still not over my ex, or what have you, that really first of all, knowing that that's the case, giving myself the space to be with that, and then really nurturing and loving myself, how I know that I need, and not searching outside myself for that experience. I think that is really the ultimate secret, and the thing that people are looking for is really within inside them.
Yeah. And that messed up stage, that that place where you just want to cocoon inside, it's in that moment where that rewiring happens, where you get to reclaim you to you, and you get to answer to you. And the more often you give yourself space to do that in moments of delusion and hypnotic states popping out, the bubble bursts and you get sober to, whoa, what was I thinking? In that moment, the moment you start to kind of like give yourself a little space to introspect and do that, the less the big events have to happen. Like, a lot of people end up going into these big, bad, dropped in, like not seeing people for months, barricades after these big breakups because they haven't been doing the work all along. The better way to do it is to do it right from the start, from when you were dating all the way through the relating, But because that function's missing, it's typically unmasks itself at the end of a breakup. The more delusional the relating was, the bigger the messy stage at the breakup.
Oh, that was a home run for me right there. Just the more diluted one is, the more there is to clean up after it ends and after the breakup is over. Absolutely.
And a lot of those, the framework, the network of delusion, the beams, if you will, that make the delusion a reality is a network of unconscious permissioning coming together. And for those of you who haven't heard my other shows around unconscious permissioning is our needs, our wants, and our desires coming out unconsciously because we never gave them permission to be expressed in the world. And so what ends up happening is they have to go secret. They have to go underground and express themselves anyway, because who you are is an expressive being. And so in that messy stage, we start to own and sober to our core needs, wants, and desires. And we come out, hopefully, in a more sober light about owning those needs, wants, and desires and being more forthright and honest about them in the world around us.
That makes me think of the last show that we did, Toxic Secrets and Transparency. If what we're seeing here in these last few minutes speaks to you, I highly recommend that you go in iTunes in the store directory and look up Revolutionary Romance and download the Toxic Secrets show. It's a very powerful show. We've had a lot of great feedback from that show. And so if what we're talking about in any way lights a spark in you, I highly recommend that you listen to that show. It was very life-changing for me to do it.
And this tender stages of transition smack with a lot of that foundation of Toxic Secrets and Toxic Transparency. There's this cocooning stage, and in this messy stage, there's this reweaving, rewiring, redoing your own inner makeup and acknowledging your core wants, needs, and desires. And then brings us to the next stage. And the next stage of this, after being a messy, is you finally start getting up and you kind of like start walking out of your room and you start going out more and you start slowly kind of dripping yourself out into the world again, and you look around and you start noticing that it's not the end of the world, that you've made it. You're stronger and more resilient because of it, and your renewed sense of faith within yourself starts to come back. This is the place where you kind of you're still kind of wobbly. You're like that, like a deer who was just born. You can't, like, you try to step and you fall, you step and you fall, but you kind of get yourself back. That you start calling your friends again, you start going out again. And things feel kind of still a little disoriented, still a little bit off, but you have this remnants of the inner work that you were doing in the messy stage. In this stage, it's important to know, let the people around you know that you're not fully back yet, because everybody will kind of like pounce on you like you're old you. And this is a moment that you want to enter slowly, because everybody around you will want to treat you and act like you were the old you. And it's important that you establish some ground rules around the people around you that you are different, that you have different standards, who you are, and it's important that you do a slow integration in this stage so that you let people know what is different about you. You go into situations only to the capacity that you can verbalize or communicate or establish the new space that you're in. If you try to go faster than that, you are doing yourself a disservice. And you're going to end up in this stage again, over and over again. And the better you do this part of the stage, the better the integration will be. It's important that you take it slow and that you can only engage with what you can actually communicate of the new you. It's letting the world around you know. It's staying in conversation and bringing conversation into, as a coach, I tell you, I believe in the power of conscious conversation. As you start becoming more conscious in the communication that you have with the people around you, something will start to shift in the dynamics of the relating that you have with those people. You will usher in the new you in their conversations, in their interactions with you. And now you will have a network of people around you that are supporting this new thing that developed out of this messy stage.
So in addition to letting people know that those that are close to you, around you, know that you just letting them know what you're going through, basically, it sounds like what you're saying.
But with a healthy pacing. So a lot of people just throw themselves back in way too quick, way too soon, wanting to fly, as you said, right? Kind of like they lose the sensitivity. Slow down. If there's anything that I would encourage at this particular stage of the transition process, is to slowly integrate. If you think you're going too slow, go even slower. It's in this stage where you want to make sure that you are honoring your pace to the new you, because it's the new pacing of the new you that is a key component to enrolling the support of the community around you. And there will be some people that will drop out from your inner circle. It may happen. Like, I see this often. This is why I'm saying this. Like, when you reintegrate, it's important to kind of see with new eyes and maintain the new eyes in your surroundings. People that used to might be your best friend might no longer be so, because your value structures have shifted. Your priorities have shifted. So many things might have shifted in your cocoony, messy stage. And it's important that you kind of like go in slow, assume less. Your assumptions are less crusty and stiff around you. They're more flexible. You harness and use that with the people around you, and you integrate slow. Just kind of see what creates gravity towards you. Give yourself permission to go into places you haven't gone before. This is a whole new navigating system. That's why I say it's like a little fawn coming out of a mom. It's like you're still kind of fumbling around in dark, but you're coming out. It's more like that. It's a very tender stage. And the people that can hold the space of that tenderness that comes out are the people that you're going to redevelop and build deeper friendships with and connections with.
Sometimes I feel like there's so much that you say that it resonates so deeply with me. I want to take a notebook and write it all down. That was really powerful too. Those people that really hold the space for that, when you're in the tender transition of coming out, you're not ready to fully be different, or you don't even know what that is. You don't even know how you're changing, but you're changing.
Yes.
And they're holding space for that, and they're just loving you anyways. Yeah. Those are the people.
The people that can hold space for that are the people that you want to rebuild your new foundation with who you are with. Because those are the people that are your allies. They're the ones that can hold that tender space in you. The ones that can't hold that, that's different. And it just kind of shows you who you can break down with. Right? And it's the people that you can break down with are the people that you have more opportunity for longevity in life, of staying in connection.
Transparency is the key for creating community.
Yes. But not everybody can handle that transparency. You know, it's about who can handle that. Who can handle the new you without wanting to stuff you back to the old you. Because you're not the only one going through transition. Your friends are going to go through a transition of how they relate to you. And this is this delicate stage. It's the stage of how well do your friends and the loved ones and community and perhaps the partner that you were with go through this transition that is you.
Okay. So then after we have steeped in our own pot for too long and we're starting to cool off, what is the next natural step or evolutionary process?
So after we've reintegrated in our community, perhaps with our partner, or transitioned out of our partnership, maybe transitioned communities, maybe transitioned the inner circle of our community, something transitions in that moment. You have a different ecosystem around you. Or whether it's the same people or not, the ecosystem is different. It supports a new you. Once that's happened, then comes this next stage of liberation. It feels like being a teenager. You try out new things about who you are. You do more experimenting about who you are. Right? You try out new clothes. You try out new clubs. You try out new relationships. You try out new ways of being. But you experiment with a whole new eyes and light and foundation that you have now. It's an experimenting stage. It's a trying out stage to see what it feels like.
Wow. Well, what's just coming up for me is that I've felt, in regards to my own thing that I'm going through, that I feel like I'm in that stage. I mean, I feel like I'm in multiple stages. Maybe I'm in one stage with one relationship and in another stage with something else. I'm not sure, but yeah, that does happen. You do want to try new things. You want to experience new ways of relating to people.
Right.
Even possibly with friendships, that could even happen.
Right. You just try new things on. So, like, if you're, like you've always wanted to be, the things that you typically admired in other people or you were jealous of other people, you tend to embody and experiment and try on yourself. So if you've always been jealous of somebody who rides mountain bikes, then you end up trying mountain biking. Or, wow, like you were always jealous of somebody who's always dressing flashy, so you dress flashy. You just try stuff on. And this is a stage where the things that have gravity to parts of you that you found in that messy stage start to stick. The things that don't fall away. And you literally like build this new being in the world.
And is that the final step?
No.
Okay. What's the next step?
The final stage is that stage of flight that you were talking about. Because all of a sudden you look around and the old you doesn't exist. You have fully stepped into the new you of who you are. The experimenting has crawled to a low roar, and now there's just this solid new foundational species that you've become through the process of transition. Just transition, because it's not necessarily always a breakup. It could be a reintegration with your partner in a deeper way. It is a moment, transition happens the moment you find that you deluded yourself in any capacity. You might have deluded the fact that you can eat ice cream every day, and then all of a sudden you have irritable bowel syndrome, or you might have deluded that you can eat a hamburger every day, and all of a sudden you had a heart attack. Transition stages work for every transition. It's just getting clear that there's a process that happens that nobody talks about.
We do.
Exactly.
We do, and you listening, you are having this conversation with us. Which, by the way, we would love to know what you think. We would love to know what you think. So please get a hold of one of us, whether it's through Facebook. You can find Tahil Facebook, Tahil. There's not probably many Tahils, I imagine, but
I don't think so.
and you can find him that way, or you can message me on Facebook. You can friend either of us on Facebook. My name's of course Gabriel llhewellyn-ari. We would just love to know what you think or questions that you have, anything like that, and we'd love to help you however we can. We're here. We're doing this for you. We're in service for you to help you to shift your own partnership paradigm and really create an illumination for those dark places, just like we said at the beginning of the show, those dark places of your life, your relationships, and bring them to the light.
Yeah. You could always check out my blog on intimacyforumtraining.com.
Ooh, I didn't know you had a blog.
Yes.
Wow.
There's a lot of stuff that we talk about, a lot of the technology that I talk about, you'll see me writing there, and you'll you can access the show there, you can access all the different stuff there.
That's new.
There's videos, there's articles that I've written, so there's a lot of things that you can access.
Oh my
on the
gosh.
blog.
I haven't visited it in a while.
Yeah.
That's really great. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of writing recently. I have a brotherhood of men that are supporting me to stay in purpose, and I've been writing like 2 or 3 hours a day. So it's been feeling really good to get my work out there.
Tahil the blogger.
Yeah, so please do take advantage of that, and send in questions, send in requests. This is a show for you, which means that if you create input, we will create output. Please do that.
Yes. So get a hold of us one way or another, and we're here to be of service for you. And I'm sure in the future we'll make it even easier to get a hold of us at somehow, some way. But for now, if you can just message one of us on Facebook.
And if it helped you in any way, please do let us know. That stuff makes our day and keeps us going in doing this radio show.
Yes, we've gotten a lot of great feedback. So we actually, you know what? Another great place that you can respond where we can see it is actually on our Revolutionary Romance iTunes page. So if you just go into iTunes, type in Revolutionary Romance, you can put your question there, you can put your feedback there, you can rate the show, you can do everything. So if you could just let us know there, that would be great. That way we can all stay connected and really create this community of a new partnership paradigm for the new world.
Welcome to the conversation. You're listening to the Revolutionary Romance After Show.
Woohoo, we have the after stage.
All right. We are in the experimentation phase of our show. We are in the after show where this is the part of the show where we just kind of kick back and we just like talk. There's no structure. We just talk about anything that's on our mind. Well, I mean, in regards to our show, obviously.
All right.
Yeah.
So how did that show?
Oh. Well, I think it really made me realize that in a lot of areas of my life, I'm at different stages. Like, for example, with the breakup, I don't even know if I can call it that, but I'm going to. With that I'm dealing with, I am at the experimentation phase in my life. So that's great. Woohoo! I'm having lots of fun trying new things and exploring new relationships.
Yep.
And at other parts of my life, for example, where I had a sobering experience of, wow, I really am not creating the things in my life that I want to. So then it was like, oh gosh, what does that mean? Oh, I've got to like go in and do all this creative stuff. And I realized that, I'm at a different place with that. And I'm just in a very inward, very private cocoon secondary stage, which is great. It's just, it helps me to know where I'm at and to know that eventually I'll get out of that and move.
I'm really glad you brought it up because, I oversimplify the stages and the technology that I share because it illuminates more of an understanding of what we're talking about. But the truth of the matter is that we're all in transition all the time. So really, our entire life is this huge collage of transition, of multiple stages of, combination of stages and so forth. It's just a lot of us, things get clearer once you understand that there are stages involved in many of the interactions that you have of transition. Like, you're right. Like, if I look around my life, there's a collage of where my stages are,
Yeah.
But each moment gives you a space to honor the stage that you're in. So
yeah.
The moment becomes rich with the awareness of that stage. And the more we give ourselves permission to just kind of like drop into the different stages, the more we honor ourselves.
Yeah, it's so true. It can be so easy to not, just like I was saying in the show, it could be so easy to not actually do that. And to just like, all right, so I'm going to just distract myself with this and this and this and this and this, instead of just dropping in and being like, actually, I just need to chill.
Yeah. But this thing of like after breakup or like a major life transition is really an integration of all the different collages of transition into a very concentrated space. So it becomes like this foundational reparent of the rest of your life. Like it's a rewiring. It becomes like like when there's a row, when a whole team of rowers row and there's a guy and sitting in front and go, row, and he keeps the time. Those major transitions in life are the keepers of the timing of the rest of the transitionary world that you live in. They kind of consolidate it. Make it a foundational heartbeat.
Ooh. Yeah. Wow. And I suppose to some extent we kind of just go through that over and over, would you say? Like we kind of just go through like transition after transition and experience like, all right, so, I mean, not constantly. Well, maybe would you say that's kind of like an ebb and a flow of like, all right, so now I'm in transition and now I'm actually getting out and feeling really good and now I'm actually in transition again and now I'm getting out.
Those moments in time that I was talking about in the show are a concentrated, sobering experience that leave you different than you started. In some circles, they're saying you can be that intense in transition of awareness all the time. In my reality, that's not the case. God bless the ones that can, but like I just find myself, it's easier for me to honor, the transitionary life of mine by knowing that I'm a delusional creature.
Yay, me too.
That I am periodically hypnotizing myself with others and myself. Like I hypnotize myself into delusional thoughts and ideas, and I develop what I call structures of success that despite myself, that I have ways of waking up. So when I do have those moments of clarity and sobriety in transitionary states, I set up structures where I make sure that despite myself, there's this ecosystem that supports me. That's in that stage of reintegration that I talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a funny thing.
Let me give you an example of a structure for success. So
Please do.
See what I'm talking about.
Let's talk about examples here.
Like, I remember the first time this dawned on me is when I was a very disorganized person, and for the life of me, I couldn't fit into any kind of organized book that ever told me how to organize. It just didn't make any sense.
Aquarius.
And I ran into this book called Organizing Yourself from the Inside Out. I forgot the author, but she was the first one that explained to just simply watch your natural rhythm of your mess. So if you ended up like having a pile of books somewhere, she said that's where you should be putting the bookcase. Or if you ended up having a pile of garbage somewhere, that's where you should be putting the garbage can. I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
That does, yeah.
So a structure of success is kind of like that. It's like you build a structure like when you're sober and you realize, like, wait a second, I have deluded myself thinking that I'm healthy and I'm not working out. Like, I work out maybe like once every 3 weeks. That is not a healthy person. Yeah. I think I should set up a structure for success. So a structure for success would be that I set up a workout every day. Mm-hmm. The truth is that I end up working out maybe 4 or 5 times a week, but I commit to 7 days a week. And I have 2 or 3 friends that are working out with me. All of a sudden, I now have a structure for success that despite me, I will be working out. So when I forget why it's so important for me to work out, I have a structure around me to help me with that.
Yeah. That is really crucial. That is really crucial. And you could even create that for your relationship, of course, right?
How it relates to your relationship. An example of a structure for success in your relating is that say that you're constantly drawn to drama kings or drama queens and that you've had a lot of destructive relationships in the past. And in your sober, messy moments, you've discovered that, oh my God, I do not need more of that over-top, fiery relating anymore. So when you reintegrate and you have all these friends, you like, listen, I'm probably going to start getting attracted again to all these drama kings or drama queens. Do me a favor, can you kick me in the shin when I say that? And just remind me that I said I was going to do that, and the good friends will actually do that. Or you can come up with things like that you just stop hanging out where those drama kings or queens hang out, and you try new places,
like a coffee shop. A nice little coffee shop where everyone is just really sweet and they're hanging by the fire. And drinking their coffee and tea.
Or like another more practical one around structure for success around relating is like if you end up in bed with someone like every single time you go dating, like within a date or two you end up in bed, you create a structure for success like okay, so I will not date anybody who wants to sleep with me within the first 2 days. Somebody who can honor not sleeping for...
Within the first 2 days.
I don't know.
Where have you been, Tahil?
I don't know.
No, it's okay.
I'm losing it. I am relaxed now.
Yes.
I'm speaking off the cuff.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we're in the after show. I always like to think of this as like, I don't know if you've ever seen, I think it's only online. You can watch Oprah after the show.
Is it Oprah after show?
Yeah,
really?
where she just she actually takes off her shoes and she puts her feet up and she just chats with the audience about like whatever. It's pretty cool. It's like, oh, cool. It's like, that's what we're doing now.
Well, why don't you just chat with me then?
Oh, I am.
Stir me with some questions.
I am.
I'm in like blank state at the moment.
Oh, that's fine. I'm for those that might care to know, before our after show, we did have some cupcakes. So they were very delicious. And,
oh my God!
And
so
maybe
awesome.
Maybe you're having a sugar low, whereas I'm having a sugar high. So I can help to
pass it over. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about my relationship and ask you questions about that because that's what I'm curious about. Actually just my relationship status. So to be 100% transparent, so I have, since moving on from the person that, if you haven't listened to the show Cosmic Love Story on the show Realms of Healing, you can listen to that and get all filled in about what happened to me with that. And I still, I know I said on the last show, the Toxic Secret show, that one toxic secret was I need to have a conversation with him. I haven't had that yet.
It's a really quick flyby there, Mr.
Yeah. Oh, see? Here's my support
I
system.
have noticed that when people speak really quickly about something, that they are trying to avoid it.
Really? No, not
Yes.
me. No, that's not me.
It's like the rock skipping on top of water, you know? Like, I would say, like, at least 50% of my work in coaching is to slow people down around the things they want to speed up through.
Okay, I can slow down.
Great.
But remember, I'm on a sugar high, so I might talk fast.
You can talk fast as long as you slow down about what the heck why you haven't done that, mister.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I haven't done it, because I actually set up a time to talk with him, and the more and more I thought about it, it actually really didn't feel like the right time. Like, for example, astrologically, if you're Mercury retrograde, that's like the worst time for communication, and I just thought, having a conversation like this, I want it to be like not being influenced by other things. So that actually was my main reason for pushing it back, which we're getting out of it soon here. But I told him that. I told him that was the whole reason that, I was canceling. It wasn't because I didn't want to talk with him, because I did. It was just that I wanted to talk with him in a clear space. So I thought, you know what, that's good that I'm doing that. And, but there was some resistance before that, because there was plenty of time before Mercury retrograde that I could have spoken to him, and I didn't. And, I think I was at a place still of such despair and hurt from the whole experience. Because basically, to sum it all up, if you haven't listened to the Cosmic Love Story show, it's really, really wonderful. Presence came to me, told me his name. Years later, I actually met the man, and we had an incredible experience. And then he left. That's the nutshell version. And then he left, and I was still wondering, like, what the hell? I had this experience with you, or at the time I thought I was nuts, but then when I actually learned your name, and then you told me your name, and I met you, and you look exactly like what I saw for years. It's like, what was that? I felt really confused by the universe. And so I would think I was still processing that and projecting that onto him, like, totally. And I really wanted to be in a clear space when I talked with him, because I still really care for him a lot. And I actually didn't feel... I suppose I was self-conscious of how I would land with him, because I really care deeply for him, and the fact that we were finally going to be talking about some things that I haven't shared with him. Well, now he's listened to everything. He's listened to the show and everything, so he knows everything. We just haven't had a conversation about all that, a live conversation. And I think ultimately, aside from the whole Mercury retrograde thing, like, the fear that I had, fear was really that I failed. Like, I had these years of experiences that I couldn't explain, and then I thought I was crazy. I was like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. But then I met someone who I had this crazy cosmic connection with, who had the exact same name. The day that I moved to the house that I'm living in, they moved in too. It was just crazy. And so I've recently allowed myself the space, with working with other healers and modalities, to get to the core of my beliefs around men, which was also stopping me from connecting with him, just in general, even just when we were living together. It was like I still had major issues with that. And that was my own stuff. And I felt like I've cleared, definitely I haven't cleared all of that, but I'm interacting with men in a completely different way now. And so I imagine that I will be interacting with him differently, and I'll be having different, I'll be coming from a more peaceful state. And actually, it wasn't until maybe just a week ago, like I was just being so busy, holed up in my cave, and I had a thought. I think I saw a picture of his or something. I don't remember, but somehow some thought of him crossed my mind, and I thought, wow, I'm actually kind of glad things didn't work out because I don't think he's good for me. And I was like, whoa, like this was someone that I perceived as like my soulmate, like partner for life. And to have that realization that, yeah, I don't actually think he's good for me. Like, I really don't. That was such a huge transition for me, and now I feel ready to have a conversation. I feel clear enough to be like, and unattached enough. That was a big thing. I was still super attached to us being together and the whole fantasy in the story. Yeah. And now, I think I've let a good chunk of that go, and I mean, he's not in my life anyways, so if he's not in my life from now on, it doesn't matter.
So here's the thing.
Thank you for listening, by the way.
Yeah, I hear there's so much behind your words. You know, look, they don't call it tough conversation for nothing. It's supposed to be tough, and every excuse in the book will come up. Everything from a psychic reading to a card that came up to the stars being aligned in the wrong way to somebody will flip a coin or somebody will walk in front of you. Oh, can't talk to him. Every single thing will come up as an excuse not to have a conversation with someone that you don't want to have a conversation with that talks about the elephants in the room. Like every single thing, and it will freak you out to like. We have this thing. Like I remember somebody doing a lecture on superstition, and they were talking about how when we get overwhelmed, we are more superstitious than any other time in our function. It's like there's this like we feel vulnerable, so we kind of listen to anything and everything other than the gut truth that awoken the fact that we needed to have the conversation in the first place. It is important that this is those moments of truth where you have to honor that sober moment that led you to want to have the tough conversation. And this is where like having structures of success is really important in your life. Like that despite the difference, like part of living more of a sober life is that you will delude yourself, and you will play tricks with yourself, and you will not do what you say you're going to do, and that how you end up doing it anyway is this inner strength that you develop, that despite yourself, that you end up doing it with tact, with delicacy about who you are, with sensitivity, but you do it. You honor those rare moments of sobriety. You got to honor those moments. Mm-hmm. Now, you can postpone it, but there's something about the timing of those sober moments that is really crucial.
I agree, and I do feel like I had that within my grasp, and I didn't utilize it. Right. However long ago, it's almost been a year. Jeez. I mean, I felt like I had that earlier this year. I felt like I was ready, and I chickened out, and that's okay. But
okay, so again, you went really fast by that.
Oh, sorry. Oh, no, gosh. I didn't even realize I'm doing it.
It's like, look, this whole thing about chickening out, we all chicken out. It's human. It's human nature to chicken out. It's those moments in time where we sell our authentic truth and our inner voice out. It's healthy to feel ashamed about that.
Yeah.
Because it brings you back to having the courage to reclaim your expression in that. Like, wow, like I did not listen to myself. Let me breathe that in. You want to have that. When we don't honor ourselves, it's important that we feel the pain of that. That's what brings the sobriety in, so that we come back and reintegrate and honor our true inner voice and express it to the world. It's in those tough conversations that your authority in the world becomes manifest. I want to repeat this again. Your tough conversations, the ones that you will avoid and do everything. People will do the things that they hate the most than to have those tough conversations that they know they need to have, but they will procrastinate and do everything but those conversations. It's in those conversations where your authority of your own self comes out in the world.
Authority of my own self comes out in the world by having those conversations.
Those tough conversations is where you get to reclaim you, to you. No planets are going to dictate that. The only planet that's going to dictate that is your heart and your authenticity to yourself.
Yeah.
You are your own final arbiter of your truth. There's a gut instinct to own something. And it's like the bubble has burst and you revealed something true to yourself. And you knew what you need to do. And then when it comes to the moment of truth, there's a buckle.
Yeah.
And it's never too late to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and to finish the act.
Having integrity with yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. To have the tough conversations. I would say almost more than 90% of my work is like people reveal all this vulnerable stuff to me, and then I say, well, have you revealed this to your partner? Have you revealed this to the very people that you're having issues with? Oh, no, I can't do that. And most of it is like spiraling into those tough conversations that people need to have in their life that they're not having.
Yeah. Well, I can commit to, I really can, and I really can commit to having that, or at least being the invitation to have that conversation with this person.
Be a commitment to yourself.
Okay. Humbling moment. Humbling moment.
Like if I didn't hold you accountable to yourself, I wouldn't be the brother that loves you. Like this is the kind of work that I do with with other men. Like for me, it's important that as a brotherhood that we stand up for each other in our authentic voice.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of my success system, my structure for success.
Sure.
That keeps me accountable when I want to be delusional. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I really do. And
you deserve it. You deserve to have a voice in the world. You have a precious voice, and it deserves to be heard.
Yeah, I know that, and I've always said my name's Gabriel for a reason. I have a message. I've got a message. I don't know what, but there's some message somehow that's from God. But I can see where I have been not committed to myself. So I'm recommitting to myself right now. Yay, I made a mistake. That's awesome. No guilt. And I'm recommitting to myself because I deserve it. Yes. And so do you. You deserve it for yourself. So if there's something that you need to commit to yourself, you listening right there, right now, or if there's some conversation that you need to have, then this is an opportunity for you to let go of the guilt, forgive yourself, and say, it's okay, you made a mistake, you learned, and then recommit to yourself.
Yeah,
that feels good.
Yeah.
That feels so good.
Yeah, look, before you have that tough conversation, it's going to feel huge. It's going to feel enormous. As soon as you walk through it, as soon as you do it, afterwards you're going to laugh at yourself for being so terrified of going in. It's on going into it, it's enormous. Going out, it's like, And there's this muscle that you build, you just like, it's the muscle of authenticity. It's the muscle of honoring yourself. And it's like a dignity that you forge by one tough conversation at a time.
I think it's interesting. Yes, thank you. When you get two Aquarians together, oh man, it's just like we just go all over the place, which is great. But I think it's auspicious that in just a few days, it'll be the 1 year anniversary of when he left. Like in just like 2 or 3 days from now, the time of this recording, it's going to be like exactly 1 year. And then like really shortly after that, I'm going to talk to him. It's just like, that feels auspicious to me. It's like, holy shit, this has been a whole year where I have not taken action in that. And I'm so ready to do that. It'll seem monumentous. It'll be like, God, finally I got over myself and let that go. And recommitting to myself, like what I could make that mean something really big just for me. Like, this is really about me committing to myself. I've been the whole year of not doing that, and that's great. But I'm done with that.
And let me take it further. The mourning that we have when we have a breakup is not the person. It's the vision and the dream that we had of what we wanted to build with that person. And by not having that tough conversation, you're creating a major obstacle and block from that vision to actually manifest in the world around you.
I felt that, and actually, for those of you that like YouTube and want to learn even more about me and my own personal journey, you can go on YouTube and you can type in my name, Gabriel llhewellyn-ari, or just anything that I've done, like Realms Radio or anything like that in YouTube, and bring up my YouTube channel. And I had a video because before I met him, I started this 100-day challenge called the Soulmate Experience. And I'm not kidding. I am so not kidding. I totally called it in. Called the Soulmate Experience, and I was working with these awesome relationship coaches, Joe and Molly Dunn, who wrote this book called The Soulmate Experience. And I was reading the book and doing it. And I was recording myself every single day on YouTube about what I was going through. And every week was like a chapter in the book. It was really cool. And by week 3 is when I met him. And towards the middle of the book, I don't even remember what chapter I was on, but obviously I became aware that things weren't going to work out the way I saw them. And I made this video that I later called Woken from a Dream, because I realized that I was living in a fantasy. I was living in this dream world of possibility, which is great. That's wonderful as long as it's not affecting my reality, which it was.
All right.
So,
I have something to say about that.
Yeah.
Because, calling something in is amazing and it's potent. And just the sheer will of wanting, just willing to have something in your life has potency, has the potency to draw something out.
Uh-huh.
But the sobriety of pulling something in is knowing your capacity to see if you can handle what you're asking for.
Got to be unattached. I was super attached.
Well, it's not. No, actually, I think that the zealousness of the passion of why you were asking for what you were asking, I think is one of the reasons why you called it in. But the sobriety of what you're asking for needs to be grounded in if you have the capacity to handle what you're asking for. Are you authentically able to do the work that needs to get done in order for whatever it is you're calling in to be called in? And are you able to have the capacity to honor and hold the space for what it is that you're drawing in? If the answer is no, then even if you draw that in, it's a world of hurt that you're setting up yourself up for.
Yeah,
so
which happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that call things in. Calling something in is only half the picture. The other picture is calling something in the right time, in the right place, in the right way.
I was reading, so coincidental, last night somehow I stumbled upon Marianne Williamson. Are you familiar with her?
Sure.
Marianne Williamson. She's great. Love her. Stumbled upon her talking about soulmates, actually. And it's so serendipitous. And she was talking, someone had wrote into her, or had written into her and asked her, Marianne, I keep praying to meet my soulmate. Kind of classic question. Like, but I'm not. I'm praying for God, for Spirit to bring me my life partner, and it's not happening. And Marianne was basically like, she worded it so beautifully. And I don't remember exactly what she said, but the crux of what she said was, that's great. That's one way of doing that. However, have you thought about having your prayer be, God, Spirit, please help me to become the perfect partner for my life partner.
Yeah.
So that way it is at the perfect time. It is at because
Yeah.
I am at the perfect place.
Yes.
And that's one thing I realized in that moment, that with my soulmate experience, I didn't do. And that I realize now that after hearing what you said, I wasn't ready for that. And who's to say if maybe he is the one or not? It doesn't matter. It's that I actually didn't know how to handle it. And I'm still dealing with that, and I'm still learning how to handle that and get a grip on that.
Yeah, it's like the inner work of who you are has to be just as important as you calling in for what you want. You know, the inner game is just as relevant as the outer one, and both need to be attended to if you're calling something in.
Well, now I'm going to do the inner work. I know how to do the outer one. That I got down, I think. Now I get to do the inner work, which is great. That's exciting. It's a new adventure.
Yeah, like look, I coach men, and they're like, "Oh, I want, like a sophisticated, saucy, sexy corporate woman." It's like, okay, and will that sophisticated, saucy, sexy woman want to go out with you when you are broke, don't have a car, and are working on something, just trying to make a living? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So it's time to, we get so obsessed about the outside world that we forget about this inside. Like, who are we? And would step into the role or the eyes of the person that we want to meet, and how would they view us? What do we have to bring on the plate? But then there's the opposite experience where there's this nice guy. There's a lot of people out there who've developed who they are, but don't know how to showcase it to the world. That's a whole different topic. Maybe
another show.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another show.
Yeah.
That could be me too, possibly. Oh gosh, there's so many possibilities. I love it. I realized that with this whole experience with this guy that happened last year, that I did manifest something. Right, that's obvious. Okay, that is blatantly obvious. And now I've manifested doing the other part of it, doing the inner work, because of that experience. Now I am being forced to look at my relationships with men, what beliefs I have around that, what things are limiting me just with my own sexuality. I had a huge healing the other day, about just my own sexuality, about who I am, about who Gabe is in the world, and being so okay with that. At least right now I am. Or being more okay than I was before, that's a pretty crucial thing before getting involved with someone. It's I've got to be okay with me before someone wants to, wants to be with me. And it's not to say that I wasn't, but it's just, I don't think I was at that level where I was really comfortable to present that in a very intimate way. And so I can just see that yes, I'm still having my soulmate experience, and I'm still growing and learning and creating the space to have that.
Yeah.
To call that and to then be ready to actually go to the other side again, and then to be able to call that in and be like, yeah, which I know that part I got down, like I said. So it's learning this other part, creating the space for it.
Doing the inner work for me is a very result-oriented thing. Like, if you're working on yourself, how is the inner game of you manifesting a physical result on the outside? Like this for me is a very tangible thing. Like when people say they're working on themselves, great. So what have you done, and how is it manifested in the physical world around you? If you're somebody that says, I typically lack confidence around, somebody who I want to connect with. Well, how often have you been in front of people who you want to connect with? Like if you're somebody who wants to be with more, beautiful people, and every time you're in front of a beautiful woman or a beautiful man, all of a sudden you kind of get tongue-tied and you can't speak, then it's time for you to start practicing being in front of beautiful people. Like there's something that needs to be tested, challenged to what you feel like because it is, if we know that we delude ourselves, we need to start having a way to challenge ourselves in order to reclaim who we are. Like, is this challenge bringing forth the person who I really want to be? It's testing ourselves to prove positive.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious, the inner work that you're doing on yourself. How are you going to develop the test proof positive that what you have, you actually earned, and that you got?
Well, I think the first thing that's coming to my mind, how I could assess my success with that, would be the level of relationships, or even just relationship possibilities in my life. Like, for example, when I started to do some more work on myself recently, I did this book. Let me tell you guys about this book. Oh, this book is so good. It's called Calling in the One by Catherine Woodward Thomas, and it's basically a 7-week program, and every day you wake up and you just read like 3 pages and you do a little bit of an exercise. And it almost always has to do with yourself. It's like wounds or trauma or beliefs or whatever it is. It's really simple, and it's actually quite fun. It's enjoyable. It's not like, all right, I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of working on my wounds. She presents it in a really fun way. And I started doing this, and I'm about halfway through the book, and someone just out of the blue was totally interested in me, which hasn't happened in a little while, I'm going to say. That hasn't happened in a little while, to be honest. And I was also at a point in my life where I was very busy being creative and also feeling really good in that, feeling like I wasn't looking for a relationship to save me. It was like, I'm in love with my life. That's pretty awesome. And I don't really need anyone to rescue me or to like do something with, because I'm a busy guy. Like, I'm creating all this stuff that I want to do, and it's awesome. And so that just felt really good. And anyway, so I was in this place, which I kind of had a feeling I might get into a relationship when I was that detached. And of course, lo and behold, the universe or whatever presented me like with this invitation from this guy, and I definitely accepted. And so I guess I would look at my possible success through that lens of like, what is being reflected back to me? Are there people that are interested in me? Are there people that want to date me? And so I again, I wouldn't beat myself up if that wasn't happening. Like, if it wasn't like, oh, I don't have anybody, but that's how I think I would do that.
Yeah, it's not just about drawing in people. It's about drawing in people that know how to honor, support, and care for you.
Yeah.
In your heart. This, because it's easier to find two willing people. There's a lot of lonely people out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's not enough.
Right.
Unfortunately, because isolation and loneliness is such an epidemic in our culture, there are many people who end up in relationships because both people are willing. It's so exciting to find somebody else that's willing to be with you and you're willing to be with them because both people are hungry. The secret is to start having a self-knowledge of yourself so that the standards that you develop before you make deep bonds with other people actually have the knowledge base that you have the capacity to nurture and care for them, and they have the capacity to nurture and care for you before you do those deep divings in committed, depthful relationships.
I absolutely 100% believe that, and that's so important to me. I didn't actually say that, but I sort of implied that when I said the level, or that's what in my head I was implying was the level of relationships are. Oh, Tahil's microphone is falling.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, and like the level of relationships, the level of depth, the level of love that I feel and they feel for me, the level of connection. Whereas, with some other people, I might just feel like, okay, we're both willing. That's awesome. But I might not feel very much chemistry, or I might feel like there are some major deal breakers that are in there for me, even though this person's willing, but there's like just something that won't work for me. And it's nothing that they did. It's just is like, this is just how I am, and it's all good, Yeah, so, we'll see what happens when I start cleaning this up. And I continue to work on my own stuff. And, I definitely think also it's about, for me anyways, it's about really authentically expressing myself. That's a big part of my journey with, I would say, intimate relationships, is really undoing the past. I have a lot of stuff that was indoctrined into me about self-expression. Even though I am pretty self-expressed, I have which I've come a long way, definitely. But growing up, I was basically taught like, you're not important, you may not speak up, kind of thing. Yeah. And so I'm learning to let that go and integrate new beliefs that serve me, and that letting go of those old things and those old patterns that I learned from my childhood, and really call in and call up from within myself my truth, which is like really extremely self-expressed. And so,
particularly in the moments of vulnerability.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to be very outspoken when you feel confident and bright and you want to serve the world. It's another thing to be courageous and in expression when you feel like your heart is given to someone. It's another thing to feel courageous and expressive when you feel like your whole life could be given towards someone that you care about. It's in those vulnerable moments where your voice needs to be heard.
Yeah. And I'd like to think that I would feel okay in those moments, but...
Well, that indoctrination that you were talking about usually happens when you're feeling most vulnerable, most tender. Like when we're young, that's when we feel most tender, most vulnerable.
Yeah, okay.
And it's that part of you that needs to find a voice.
Interesting. Okay. And I definitely been practicing that with my friends and with Cafe Gratitude community, which is a great open-hearted community where
that's beautiful.
Vulnerability is really valued and held.
It's so great. Yeah, it's so great to have a community that's vulnerable, that's caring, that everybody's supporting each other that way.
Yeah, I think so too. And so we'll see, but but one way or another, things are going to get better, and everything is okay. Everything really is great, and it's all perfect. I always say that. I'm learning the exact lesson that I need to learn, and so are you. You're learning the exact lesson that you need to learn right now, whatever that is in your life. Just look around at your life if you don't know what it is, because it's there.
We all are.
We all are.
Yeah.
We all are there. Oh my gosh. Well, Tahil, is there anything else that you would like to say? Anything else that you feel maybe we didn't get to that you want to touch on about anything, really?
Well, I think as my final word on all this transition stuff is that it is okay to be tender. It is okay to be confused. It's okay to not want to be engaged in the world because there's some inner spelunking that needs to happen inside your heart, your soul, your being. And it is okay to just not always muster up the courage to have those tough conversations. But just know that those tough conversations are the stepping stones for having the most vulnerable and tender parts of you come out into the world and be seen, and they have an authentic right to be expressed and seen in the world.
All I can say is amen. That was such a prayer. Amen, Ashe, and so it is.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Revolutionary Romance. And we acknowledge you for really taking the reins of your love life, being committed to living a more authentic expression of yourself and your sexuality, whatever that is, creating a new world within yourself and for all of humanity. We are so grateful to you. Thank you so much. The show would not be complete without you. Until next time, we bid you adieu. We bless you in all of your relationships with love, and we affirm and declare that it indeed is all perfect.
Realms Radio, where spirit rocks.
Realms Radio is sustained by listeners like you. Thank you both for contributing your time as a listener and your financial resources. Every dollar you give comes right back to this station, allowing us together to bridge a deeper awareness and connection to all of life and all of humanity. We also affirm whatever amount you contribute comes back to you tenfold in a multitude of miraculous ways. Thank you for your generosity and for supporting Realms Radio.
Would you like to receive empowerment, help, and healing from heaven and the angelic realms? Schedule your one-on-one intuitive reading with me, Tana Newberry, the Angel Gal, and hear from all of your heavenly helpers and loved ones in spirit. Whether you're seeking guidance about your career, your love life, your life purpose, or anything else that can bring you more peace and more joy, I am happy to help. Learn more about my services and how to receive a free consultation at my website, www.theangelgal.com, right here on Realms Radio.